How can you see into my eyes like open doors, leading you down into my core, where I become so numb?
All right, everybody. Welcome back to Next Edition. Once again, I'm
Hey,
Vin from New York. That's Kat from LA. And
what up?
from New York to LA, we want to welcome you. We are doing the movie The Thing from 1982. Once again, this is a Cat pick. And the first thing I want to know is
You know what? First thing I want to know, what made you choose that intro music? What was that? Was that some girl singing a lullaby or something?
that song is Evanescence, Bring Me to Life, which I think is very fitting for the theme of The Thing, which is, about a creature from another world who is brought back to life via being thawed out and basically attacks everyone uh, in its vicinity. Although I don't know if we could say attacks. I mean, its role or its mission in life was just to imitate whatever it was around. So, do you think it was attacking them?
You know, because you just brought that up, it makes me think that it was trying to go home. He was homesick, and then they were messing up his day.
That's right. You're right. Because Blair, one of the characters, was trying to rebuild a small ship
Yep.
in the bottom of the tool shack when they locked him out there, maybe to go back home.
Yeah, because essentially, I mean, now that I think about it, but you know what, I'm gonna go on to the classic before I go off into a tangent on something else. Is that
Okay.
essentially, these guys, find something underneath the ice that's been there for millions of years, and they're like, hey, what's this, and that's kind of how it comes about, and then this particular creature, who happens to be millions of years old or hundreds of thousands of years old, happens to be still alive because it was frozen solid. They
Right.
thaw it out, and then whoops, he's kind of pissed. you know,
Right.
and the premise is that he essentially wants to take over the world.
Okay, so there's the thing. Does he want to take over the world, or is it just a fact of what it is, his own nature, or what he's made of, that he would wind up taking over the world? Not that he would necessarily want to. It just happened. Is his cells, regenerate and take over other things? We don't really ever. I don't think we get into the motivation of the creature.
You know what? This is true. We don't. That's why I was just when you first brought up the thing of the idea of you know as a horror movie. What is this creature's motivation? I mean, in other horror movies, that their motivation is to basically kill, maim, and create terror. Where this creature, you know what? If you wanted to go on the other side, could be like he's just being misunderstood. He's like, look, dudes, I'm just trying to get out of here, but you guys keep stopping me, poking me, prodding me, and I need to, what do you call it? Do something to get my ass out of here. Now you could say that he didn't want to get out of here, but he wanted to get to civilization to where he could have infected everybody and definitely got out. But he was localized to those 30 people, and and they were doing everything they could to basically, I don't know, piss him off more. you
You're
know,
trying to piss him off.
right? I mean, we could have been considered the monsters in that as a horror movie if you really wanted to think about it. The humans could have been considered the monsters. There's one guy trying to get away who's the thing, and then everybody else is trying to kill him
Right. Right.
or freeze him or
Now,
burn him or something. It's like, dude, what are
right.
you doing? You know?
Now, once again, this is a John Carpenter movie.
Yep.
We've done a John Carpenter movie before, also with Kurt Russell as well, and also one of your top picks. What would you put this in number.
I put it in my top 10. You know, I'm definitely putting this higher than the Warriors, and I'm putting it higher than Escape from New York. And I guess the main reason why was the ending. I
Okay.
want to hold your ears if you haven't seen this movie yet. But the drink at the end really, you know, did it for me. You know,
How
but
so? How so?
because I think that's like one of those things. It's just like, you fought your fight, you're done. It's just like, well, if there's any more fight to be done, it's not going to be done by me. You get
One
you
of
a
the
drink
things
and you sit down. It's like you're
one of the
reserved to the
things
fact.
Right, right. I got you. One of the things I loved about it, and I talk about the cheesiness factor on different reviews. There's not one cheesy factor, in my opinion, to this movie. There's nothing that brings you out of the possible reality of the situation. And that could be done in different ways. And I wanted to talk about the role of effects, the importance of effects, specifically CGI versus makeup and molds and that type of stuff. For me, a CGI scene can take you out of the reality, out of the
A
moment.
bad CGI scene. Yeah, the bad ones are
Well,
just horrible.
bad CGI for sure. But even the movies that are out today, that a lot of them are CGI. As soon as I mean, it's CGI for me, and it takes it away. Before CGI was as prevalent as it is now, the special effects were, especially in horror movies, were just fake blood and molds and makeup and latex and stuff like that. And they did a phenomenal job.
Well, as you
Phenomenal
know, your
job.
your favorite magazine at the time, Fangoria, was dedicated to just that. How to do makeup and special effects.
Fangoria. You gotta give it up for Fangoria, man. Got
Yeah,
to.
I mean,
They
it was the thing, and I think they have a show on the Sci-Fi Channel that also goes for teaches that shows special effect artists.
exactly, and they did a great job on this. The makeup, the gentleman who did the makeup, his name was Rob. We used to call him Rob Bottin. It might be Rob Bottin, whatever. Incredible job for this. And as far as I could tell, no CGI was used, and I just thought it was great. It didn't take you out of the movie whatsoever. Now we saw this when we were kids. I didn't see it in the theater, although I did sneak in and poke my head into the theater when it was playing, and I saw one little scene or whatever. But you and I saw this years later. We were probably in like ninth grade or something, and we went back to my house and saw it, and it was just it was incredible. Got right into the movie, the reality of the situation, which is these guys who were stuck at the South Pole
Right.
with
Oh,
this
but
creature.
if you remember, the original opening was the spaceship like going out of control as it was heading toward the Earth. Like he wasn't even
Right,
purposely going to Earth. It was like he got caught in the gravitational pull, and it was like going. It was steering down, and he was trying not to crash, but of course he
right.
crashed. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Oh, you're right. And that was CGI. But looking back on it, they actually did it pretty well. But even still, it wasn't like you were.
No, that was a scene of itself. It wasn't a scene with people. It was just a ship. So that
No,
was
no. But they used CGI. It wasn't like they used a little model with a green screen or something. But you weren't, and you weren't.
flash cords.
Yeah, you weren't engaged in the movie at that point yet. It was the very beginning. I mean, it was like 2 seconds in, so it didn't affect it at all. But I did want to mention that about the CGI. Now, what did you think about the premise of being trapped with all of these people? Now, there weren't that many. I think there's maybe a dozen guys or something, maybe less, maybe
Yeah.
10 people or whatever, in a situation where you can't trust anybody and you can't get away.
Yeah, that is one of the tight situations, and it's like, and we have a storm coming in. It was like they set up from the beginning of the story, which was like bright sunlight and everything, to a perfect trifecta of all these things going wrong, or going wrong or happening at the same time. So some of the obstacles they came into were by nature, and some of them were self-made. Like some of the humans were doing some of the damage, and the alien was doing some of the damage, because they're trying to circumvent each other. So it's just like
Right.
you just end up. It's like really,
Right. The
what's happening.
scene that solidified the desperate feeling of the situation was when the character Blair, played by Wilford C. Brimley, is working at his computer and he's figuring out the possibilities of what this creature may be and what the implications may be. And it says on the computer, the possibility of one or more of the people that he's with are infected are like 75% or higher. And then the projection of how long it would take before the whole world population was infected. And he just reaches in to his desk and grabs a gun. And at that point, you're not even thinking that, all right, this thing has a strong ability to infect everyone quickly. You're not even thinking about it. But when you see that, you're like, uh-oh, this is not good.
Right. This can be kind of bad. This is kind of
This is-
bad. Okay.
This is kind of bad.
Okay,
Right.
Kind of bad.
And then and the character Fuchs takes Kurt Russell's character McCready out to the chopper to talk, and he's like, these samples we have, they're not dead. And you're like, uh-oh, right?
Yeah.
And then boom, and it kicks off from there, even more to a greater scale.
Yeah,
But,
well, I mean, I got the premise that even if like one or two cells touched you, it would eventually just take over your whole body like cancer.
Right. So what is this another one of the movies that you could just watch again and again and again,
Yeah.
not get sick of?
Matter of fact, I wish they would redo it in high definition because yes, I would watch it. I can watch it again and again and be entertained by it.
Right.
I would. I'm putting it in another like classic category of. It will withstand the test of time. Similar to The Sound of Music or Singing in the Rain or something like that, where they're just good movies. You can sit back and enjoy this movie, and that's what the category I'm putting it in.
Okay.
I do think it's held together a lot tighter than some of John Carpenter's other stuff. I mean, as far as the storyline's concerned and the characters and everything. So, I'm really I really recommend it to most people. If you haven't seen this movie, see this movie, regardless of what we've just told you about it, or because of what we just told you about it. It's worth seeing. It's
Yeah,
good stuff.
I agree. Definitely turn down the lights, relax, and enjoy it. There's no cheesiness factor whatsoever.
Right.
So what else you got to say about that? Anything about the thing?
Nah, but it's worth seeing. Especially with your family. The kids. Your little girl.
You don't think it might be too scary for any kid? Is there a certain age factor? Because it is kind of graphic in scenes, and the monster it could be kind of scary in scenes.
Well,
Would you give it a certain age?
That's the whole family factor. Mom, dad, and the kids. You're all
4-year-old?
on the couch together.
Okay, for 4-year-old?
Oh, come on now. A 4-year-old, can barely go to the bathroom with the lights off, or go to sleep
All
with
right,
the lights
so-
off.
so
Let's put the age at like 10 years
Okay.
old. It's fine, even though it's a rated R movie.
All right, I agree. I agree.
There's not too much profanity in it, and if anything, the most disgusting parts are the alien itself, and that just adds to the interesting and cool factor as far as horror movies are concerned. And if your child's skittish, then move up the age factor to 12. And
All
then
right.
they should be fine.
I agree. So, this movie, 1982, John Carpenter, the original movie, which was
This is a
from
remake. I forgot to mention it is a remake.
it's a remake, but it's a different story. The original story, it was based on a novella that was written in 1938, and it was called Who Goes There? The original movie that came out in the 50s, it was 51. John Carpenter loved the movie, and so he based it off of that. And that movie was called The Thing from Another World.
Gentlemen, do you realize what we've found? A being from another world, as different from us as one pole from the other.
John Carpenter also loved the apocalyptic theme of movies, which he did in Escape from New York as well. You know, the apocalyptic thing, end of the world. And this is his take on the apocalyptic theme.
This is the first of 3 films that I've worked on that have an apocalyptic theme. I've dealt with them in different ways. This is the end of the world. It doesn't come from bombs dropping. It comes from within. And it was a movie that its tone started and finished. And basically it was almost there's nothing you can do because here it comes. And of course the thing is a metaphor for whatever you want to say. It's disease, could be AIDS, could be whatever. It comes from within you. It's also basically the lack of trust that's in the world now. We see it all over. Countries, people, we don't trust each other anymore. We don't know who to trust. We were with somebody that we think maybe they're our loved ones and they may attack us. And that's what the thing is. It has a lot of truth in it, kind of dressed up as a monster.
Now, Quentin Tarantino, who I know you're a big fan of,
I am.
And we can talk about him in the future. Maybe we'll see how that goes. But he was a big fan of The Thing, and he had an element of that, the theme from the Thing, in his movie Reservoir Dogs, which was one of his original movies. And here Quentin Tarantino talks about that.
The Thing was probably the one movie of all the like individual films that I've seen that like probably influenced Dogs the most, because it's in some ways it's very like it's the same idea where you have a bunch of guys trapped in a situation that they can't get out of, in a very claustrophobic situation where nobody can trust anybody else. It scared the living hell out of me.
And we talked about, yeah, he was a big fan of it, and once again influenced Reservoir Dogs. Now Carpenter was also very in tune with the effects and how they make it seem real. Like I was talking about CGI versus non-CGI. But this is him, John Carpenter, on the effects.
That was the big job, was to convince the audience that this thing is real. And we might have convinced them a little too much.
Yeah, but it was good. Like that's why I asked, how little should the kids be? How young should the kids be? You know, and watching.
There's only a couple of scenes that I think are truly, that are a bit much. But I figure if it's a family setting and not, two 10-year-olds watching it for the first time by themselves.
Yeah, or the 6-year-old finds, the DVD and puts it in. Let's watch it.
Yeah, not that person. No, not that person. I'm saying, 10, 12,
yeah,
with your
I agree.
family.
That should be good. Yeah, absolutely. That should be fun.
Know your
Now, like
child.
hopefully. I don't know about these days, but we'll see. Every movie has its difficulties with filming. This one posed incredible difficulties because of the setting. The cold, and the cameras get affected and all sorts of different stuff. But this is Carpenter on filming difficulties.
The conditions are almost unbelievable to imagine shooting a movie in. And somehow there's a part of me that wonders how we ever survived it. We had such problems, all the way down to the cameras. We had to leave them in the cold because we couldn't take them from the warm out into the cold, inside and outside, because the lenses would mist up. I mean, the whole approach was one of just trying to push this giant rock up a mountain. We had no comforts, and it was a dangerous spot. Make no mistake about it. We were in a very dangerous spot shooting this movie.
And John Carpenter also he almost quit. He came very close to quitting the director job.
Take this job and shove it.
I've wanted to say that more than once.
Yeah, one of his possible replacements was Walter Hill, director of Warriors, 48 Hours, but we did the Warriors, so I just want to mention that. And then one more thing, the child's character who was played by Keith David, a great actor, who John Carpenter also used in another movie called They Live. He was a possible, a possible character that they almost put in there in the role of Childs was Isaac Hayes, who John Carpenter used in Escape from New York. And for maybe some of the younger audience was the chef character in the cartoon, I don't know if you could call it a cartoon, South Park.
Suck on my chocolate salted balls. Stick 'em in your mouth and suck 'em. Suck on my chocolate salted balls.
Great actor, great musician, and yeah, it was a possible replacement or a possible thought of for the role of Childs. And that's all I got. Anything else you want to say as one of your top movie picks?
All right, 12, 13 years old. Yeah, there you go. Let's make it
13, 12,
PG-13, right? Even though it's a rated R movie, we'll make it PG-13.
All right. The whole
my final
population, 12, 13 and up should just see it, go and see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Great movie. And that's all we've got. So I would have to say thanks everybody for watching. And from New York to LA, we will see you at the next edition.